Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's wonderful conversation, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for being a part of this amazing community. Whether you're sharing the podcast, leaving reviews, or simply tuning in each week, your support makes all the difference. Together, we're creating a space where stroke survivors and caregivers can feel seen, heard, and inspired. If you've received tremendous value from these episodes and would like to support the show, please consider visiting patreon.com/recovery after stroke. Your generosity helps cover the ongoing costs of recording, hosting, and editing, and all other production expenses, ensuring we can keep sharing these important conversations. A huge thank you goes to all my supporters. Your support means the world to me and helps ensure that I can continue producing episodes that empower stroke survivors everywhere. I also wanted to address something important. If you're not in a position to support the podcast financially, simply listening on Spotify or watching the ads on YouTube without skipping them is a huge help. These ads are essential in offsetting some of the production costs and keep these resources alive for stroke survivors and their families. And remember the unexpected way that a stroke became the best thing that happened. It's a beacon for hope and practical guidance for many, available on Amazon and at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome my guest, Tony Barfield, who experienced an ischemic stroke just a month ago. Tony's journey through early recovery is both inspiring and insightful. Let's jump in and listen to his powerful story. Tony Barfield, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what happened to you, man.
Okay, well, mine was recent, January 9th. I came home from work. It really wasn't any symptoms. I really thought I had a stomach ache when I got home. My stomach was kind of bothering me, and I told my wife to get me something, I thought my stomach was upset because that's why I was feeling kind of nauseated. Because I ate something that maybe I shouldn't have ate earlier in the day. So that's why I thought it came. It was kind of spicy. So that's why I thought it came from. So it was about, I guess, about 7 o'clock when I know I was laying down on the couch and I noticed, with my hands on my chest, but I noticed on my left hand, it kind of slid off my stomach and I couldn't control it. So I was trying to stop it from sliding, and then it just went limp on me. So I kind of propped myself up and I noticed my left arm couldn't move it at all, lift it up or anything. So I kind of called for my wife. She came in and she seen, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, am I having a stroke?" Because my speech was real slurred. And she looked at my face and she could see the left side was kind of droopy. So she called 911 and they came within, man, maybe 20 minutes. So they rushed me to the hospital. And, me not really knowing what the stroke was all about, I kind of heard them as they got me on the gurney and rolling me through the hospital, they kept saying stroke four, which I didn't know what that was. But when I found out later that they said you have 4 hours before they administer what they call a clock buster.
TPA, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it was within that 4 hour time frame. So they administered that, and then I found a little. I was able to lift my hand at some point. So I stayed in the hospital about 3 days because I still had weakness in my left arm where I couldn't move it. It would come and go. It would just come and go, come and go. And then I had to pretty much learn how to walk again. For some reason, my leg was kind of weak as well.
Hmm.
So they wouldn't let me go until I was able to at least walk and keep my balance.
How long
So
did you
once that
spend
was
in hospital?
3 days,
3 days. That's the whole lot. And then you went to rehab?
then I went to rehab from there, right? Which I'm still in rehab right now.
Yeah.
I
How
finished
long
physical therapy,
physical therapy?
but
How long
now
were you in inpatient rehab?
a month, the whole month of February, the whole month of January
Hmm.
after I got out of the hospital. So right now I'm doing speech therapy and occupational therapy right now for my
Oh
left
man.
hand and for my left face is still kind of weak and my speech is still kind of, it seems like I'm talking for more on my right side of my face, more so in the middle of my face.
Yeah.
So
So this is fresh.
yeah, it's brand new. Yeah, it's brand new. Yeah. So I'm still going through the therapy and a lot that I have learned. So a lot of things that I had to change from. For one thing, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but like my taste buds, like certain foods and smells, if I smell it and it smells funny, I don't want it. The things that I used to like to eat, like McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a total turn off now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even want to, if I smell it and it smells bad for some reason, I don't know why,
That's
but
a
I don't even
positive.
want it. Right, yeah, exactly. I don't even want to eat it. So I just thankfully that I guess that's more so possible. So now I'm more eating more things that, vegetables, a lot more fruits now, what I'm saying, including the medication. So,
How would you say your health was up until now? So you're 59 years old, and
right.
how's things been up until now?
Health wise,
Mm,
well, I mean, as far as my diet is improved. I lost 10 pounds. When I went to before the stroke, I was like 193 and my pressure was always up, but I wasn't monitoring it. I wasn't paying attention to it. My blood pressure was high and my cholesterol was high as well. So I wasn't really paying attention to that. So now my pressure right now is normal and I lost 10 pounds, which the doctor said that's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna kind of continue on that trend and kind of maybe lose another 5 pounds, I guess. I don't know. Because
that
the foods that I used to eat, I don't like them no more.
that was 1 month ago. So you lost
That
10
was one
pounds in a
in a
month,
month.
and it
Right.
is currently February, near the end of February. What are we? What date are we? We're the
The
19th or
22nd?
20th of February,
Right.
and you had your stroke in January.
January 9th, correct. Right. Because the foods was really turning me off. The things I used to like, they
Okay.
was really turning me off. So I kind of had cut back. I eat more salads and smoothies now.
Any other medical issues up until now? Did you have any other conditions that you had to deal with or manage?
No, not up until now. No. No,
Hmm.
only thing, like I said, prior to the stroke, my blood pressure was high, and I knew that, but I wasn't taking anything, no medication.
Okay.
I was given medication, I just didn't take it.
Oh, okay. Do they think that the stroke was caused by the high blood pressure? What are they saying?
Well, cholesterol.
Uh-huh.
My cholesterol was high too.
Do they know, was
Yeah,
there a blockage in one of your arteries or was
it
there
was. It was
something
blockage.
else?
It was a blockage.
Okay.
Yes, that they seen when I did the scan. They did the brain scan.
And then are you expecting any further treatment beyond medication to deal with that, or they're not doing any further?
Now, well, other than the therapy, what I'm going through, and then I guess that over time, if I continue, what I'm saying, doing the right things for my body,
Yeah.
and not eating all the crap that I used to eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
they thinking it's getting better. So there's more so time now. So I'm expected, prayerfully, to go back to work next month. Prayerfully, I'm expected to go back to work next month. But I still got the weakness in my left arm, so they say that's the longest. The arm normally takes a little longer to kind of recover.
And how are you feeling like with your sleep and fatigue? Are you getting tired during the day? Do you need
Oh yeah,
to rest
absolutely.
more often?
Rest more often. I do get tired. You know what I'm saying? And today was the first time I drove, actually. So that was pretty good, but it was a little scary because it felt like the first time I ever driven before.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with the stroke, but yeah, it did feel a little weird. So I just took my time. And the doctor said it was okay to kind of gradually start driving, a little bit.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for a private school here in Georgia, Notre Dame Academy. I work for a private school and I'm a facility manager. So
Uh-huh.
prior to that, I do a lot of walking, a lot of handyman stuff, a lot, repairs and
Physical.
you have a lot of physical stuff. So I'm gonna see if I could gradually get back into that if, my body allows me to
Hmm.
without any difficulties. I still want to kind of be safe at the same time.
Ladders, etc.
Yeah, lad, right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I have a property maintenance business. I don't know how much you know about me, but we do painting and repairs and all that kind of stuff. And
Okay.
since the stroke, the main thing with me is weakness on my left side, and my huge issue is ladder safety. And
Right.
I'm very conscious of safety, and we make sure that we all always do the right things and people have the right tools to do their job, etc. Because I don't want anyone getting injured at work. So this one particular job, literally 7 or 8 months ago, we had a scaffold on site to make it safe so that we can actually um, access the high part of this particular building without risk. Let's take a quick pause here to reflect on Tony's journey so far. His experience 1 month after ischemic stroke reminds us that recovery is both a physical and emotional process filled with both setbacks and triumphs. Stories like Tony's are why I started this podcast to connect, inspire, and offer hope to stroke survivors and their families. If you're finding value in our conversation, I'd greatly appreciate your support on Patreon. Your contributions help cover essential costs like recording, hosting, and editing so we can continue bringing these stories to life. Even the smallest amounts go a long way. Now let's get back to Tony's story and learn more about his journey towards healing. But I was climbing up the scaffold, the first ladder to go to the first deck of the scaffold, and my left hand just let go of the ladder, and
Wow.
I fell backwards onto a metal bar and then onto a timber deck below, and I injured my back, not dramatically, but enough to make it sore for about 2 weeks. And that all of that happened because my left hand just decided it wasn't going to hold on and let go. And it does that
Right.
sometimes. I drop things sometimes,
Yeah.
but that particular day, it was at the end of the day, and I was going up to do just one last little touch up, and I didn't make it. I fell down. I spilled the paint everywhere. It was a it was a big disaster, but it could have been worse because I could have got
Right.
injured far more than I did. Yeah.
So you still experiencing weakness in your left hand?
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't be able to tell if you saw me. It feels really it looks normal. It kind of behaves more normal, but it feels numb and it has tingling and all that kind of stuff. When I'm
Right.
tired, the tingling and all those sensations are worse. And then it plays up a little more when I'm tired. So, being the end of the day, it kind of like just let go. I don't know, can't explain it. And
No, I understand. I understand. I have the
thankfully,
same.
thankfully, I was only on the third rung of the ladder, so I had done only 3 rungs,
Through the runs. Yeah.
and I wasn't any higher than that. So it was scary though, and it's a real big concern of mine. Like it's on my mind all the time, and I minimize the amount of time I spend climbing and on ladders and all that type of thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm kind of expecting, but I'm just hoping I can kind of maybe heal enough to be able to do that. But
Hmm.
I'm anticipating to look forward to that. But I just got to see how it is because it's kind of nerve wracking. Even like I said, when I was driving, it's kind of nerve wracking a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Having to look to my left and the cars coming by and trying to anticipate what's going on and to be safe at the same time. So it's a little nerve wracking, but I guess that'll go, over time. I'm hoping.
It settles, you adjust and you get used to it. Did you have any vision problems or anything like that?
Oh, no vision problems at all. No, not at all. It just the left arm and the left my face. That's the only thing
Mm.
that
And the
some
left arm is able to grab the steering wheel of the car quite well or not?
not no.
Okay.
I do more so driving with my right hand. The left hand, it just rests on the steering wheel. But as far as control it, no, I don't trust it. You
Uh-huh.
know, to kind of take control of the steering wheel. No, I don't trust it because it's still weak.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Oh, that's all right.
Yes, good thing, right? So it's a good thing. And I do the same thing like you do. Our whole thing. I done broke so many dishes at home and glasses trying to hold it from my left hand and it just slip out my hand. I think I got it. Just slips in, out my hand. So yeah, I do the same thing. Well, I
Yeah.
have done the same thing. Yes.
How's
So it's
the
hope.
how how's the family treating it? Uh, how are they managing to deal with the fact that you've had a stroke? You said your wife was the person who worked out that you were unwell, arranged for 911 to be called, the ambulance, etc. How are they managing the whole situation?
Oh, well, she's been my number one support system, making sure that, I get, take my medication, and take me to my appointments. And yeah, she's been the number one supporter. So one for her, I really wouldn't know what I would do as far as making sure I'm doing the right thing and eating the right stuff. She asks me what I want to eat and stuff like that. So I kind of tell her, make sure, to bring back a salad or something like that, or a smoothie or something like that. Yeah, so she's
Hmm.
kind of been on point with that. And the kids, they've been great too. They helped me. I had difficulty in the first climbing up because I got two-story house, so it's been kind of difficult to go up the stairs. So they kind of make sure that there's somebody behind me while I'm walking up the stairs, and so I won't,
To go to your
lose my
bedroom. Is that where your
right.
bedroom is?
Right is upstairs, correct.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that's been a little bit. It's gotten better. Going up is a lot easier than coming down for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, because of the gravity pulling.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure I'm kind of safe that way. So
Your leg, is it also a little bit untrustworthy at the moment? Do you have to give it time to get a little better?
yes, and I got to really think about like lifting it and even taking steps. I got to really think about it. Especially climbing, like I say, doing the stairs but walking is pretty good. Getting in and out of the car is a little tough.
Hmm.
That's a little tough, with my legs, but it's not as bad as my arm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming down the stairs would be. Does your knee hold on? Does it buckle a little? So I had
Yeah.
challenges
Yes.
with my knee just collapsing, and then
Yes.
a little bit weird. Doing that down the stairs is not a good thing at all. So it really was holding on, etc. So
Yeah,
your knee also
absolutely.
collapses.
Yeah, collapsing. Yeah. Yeah, right there and I don't know, for some reason, right there in the hip joint seemed like it was a little funny too. So I don't know what's that all about, but it's right there in the hip joint in my left leg. That's
Hmm.
really bending to get up, bend down and get up is a little difficult as well.
Are
But
your
I kind
physical
of do,
are your physical therapists aware of those little challenges that you have with your
yes,
knee and your hip?
yes. I had a cane at first. My wife bought me a cane at first, but the physical therapist said the cane is like slowing you down or
Uh-huh.
might cause more problems because I'm dependent on the cane. So they made me get rid of it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I was got to be more dependent on the cane.
So it's not that dangerous for you to give up the cane. So it felt like it was probably a good move
Right.
to
That's
give it
what
up.
I'm thinking. Right. More of a good move for versus a hindrance to me. Because
Yeah.
they thought I might trip over the cane or something like that. So they said, no, just get rid of it.
Uh-huh.
It's causing you too many problems. So
And if you're holding the cane, are you holding it with your affected hand?
no, my right hand.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
hold it with my right hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're holding it with your right hand, which is not affected, and you're using that to overcompensate on your right hand so that you're not putting a lot of pressure on your left side of your body, but then that's decreasing the movement and the
Mhm.
rehabilitation and its ability to do the work and recover.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
For other people watching and listening, I would say that's a great thing to work towards if you have a cane, um, or if you have one of those 4-point canes, like those,
Yeah, the 4 point. Right.
whatever they're called. Um, I think it's great to work towards not needing that if you can get rehabilitated and gain the strength back in your legs and in your hips and in your knee. It's a fantastic thing. Don't just give it up for no reason. But it sounds like you guys kind of weren't prescribed the cane. The cane was something
No.
that you guys just bought thinking that it was going to be helpful. And your physical therapist kind of thought maybe it's going to be getting in the way.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. My wife, she just bought it because she seen how I was kind of unstable a little bit. She just thought that would help me kind of stability.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I took it to physical therapy and they kind of watched me walk with it and without it, it was like, it might do more damage as far as hurting myself with the cane.
Hmm.
Because I guess they thought I was maybe strong enough to do without it, you know. Because I'm a pretty physical guy. So I kind of force myself to do stuff that my body don't want to do. So
Yeah.
They just seen that it wasn't right to have a cat. I didn't need it. So
Yeah.
I haven't used it since then. So
It's really lovely to have you on the podcast. And I've just recently started asking people this question. Why why are you on the podcast? You've had a stroke a month ago. You're in the middle of rehabilitation. What made you feel the need to reach out and share your story, which I truly appreciate, by the way?
well, I think when I first seen I don't know, I was just researching strokes on the internet, YouTube, and then I just happened to run across yours. I was like, wow, very informative. So I said, well, for me, people my age, I'll be 60 next month. I think it's an awareness that people need to know about these things, especially the health risks with the strokes and as far as dieting,
Hmm.
knowing what to eat and exercising and you know and your blood pressure levels and stuff like cholesterol levels. So I think it's just more of awareness. I want to kind of get the word, just something similar to what you're doing.
Hmm.
Get the word spread out about it because I think because prior to this, and my dad had a stroke, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
really pay no attention. I didn't really like educate myself with it and know how important it was, how severe it could have been. And luckily he survived into up upon his death. But I didn't really never researched it. So when it hit me, I was like, wow, I didn't never thought I would have a stroke, but now it make other people aware of it, I think it's important. I think it's something that I need to do as well, what I'm
Hmm.
saying, to make people aware of the potential possibility of strokes.
How old was your dad when he had a stroke?
Oh, my dad was in his 80s when he had the first one. 'Cause he was, he was with us, but he was in a in the hospital when he had it. And he had like multiple strokes before he passed away. But I seen how it kind of broke him down. I seen what it did to him as far as him not being able to do certain things after the stroke, you know. So, but with me, I never took it seriously to kind of get in depth and know what a stroke really was. Cause I never, stroke. See, when I first had mine, I was so scared because I thought that mean brain surgery. I was so afraid of that. I said, I don't want nobody, cutting on my head, going in my brain. That's what I was thinking.
Hmm.
That's the first thing I think. I said, I'm gonna have brain surgery. That's what I thought it was, but not knowing that there's different types of strokes, you know, and you can even have a stroke in your sleep. I didn't even know that, so I had to kind of, learn these certain things. So I think everybody needs to know this.
Hmm. So if your dad was 80, how old were you when your dad had his stroke?
I might have been, I'm 59 now. I might have been 57.
Oh, so it was a few years ago.
Just a few years ago, yes. He just passed 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he passed away 2 years ago, and he suffered multiple ones. You know,
And he was living with you guys before then.
yeah, he was living with us. Yeah, he was living. We was kind of his caretakers at the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, my wife was. She was doing more caretaking than I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So that's interesting that he had a stroke. Even then, you're still not familiar, 100% aware of what a stroke is, even though you're caring for him. And
Right.
he's around you guys all the time. And now you're in a similar situation, and it's a little more, you have a deeper understanding on what your dad went through as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm just thankful. 'Cause I know several people that had strokes but they didn't live. But still, even with that, I didn't even know really what it was and how severe it was or could be. So I'm really thankful that that even when I go to rehab, I see some of the patients there that had strokes and they're in a lot worse condition than I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot worse condition. So I'm kind of thankful that me not having to do too much complaining about what I'm going through, because
Hmm.
people have been far greater, worse shape than I am that had strokes. So that was a little bit more severe. So I'm really thankful that I'm going through what I'm going through, and that way I can kind of spread the word and tell people, what it's all about, and especially from a health standpoint. I
Yeah.
think that's important as well, you know.
Yeah. Um, your your stroke, it's the first sort of major health issue that you've experienced. Knowing that your dad passed away soon after, Did you think about the possibility that you might lose this battle or you might not be here? Or did you have any of those thoughts that come into your mind?
Well, when it first happened, I did. Because like I said, I thought it was automatically mean brain surgery.
Mm,
You know? So yeah, it was fearful then, but then, when time kind of progressed, I learned, I kind of did some research on stroke, different types of strokes.
mm,
And since mine was an ischemic stroke, I knew that was a blood clot, so which kind of damaged your brain a little bit. I know it's gonna
mm,
take some time. But yeah, in the beginning when it happened, I did. I was very fearful. You know,
yeah. How do you deal with it now? How do you deal with knowing that you are vulnerable? You did have a stroke and, things go wrong sometimes in our health and we get injured by by life. How do you deal with that now? How do you think about it?
well, my thing is so it's almost it was like a wake up call for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was eating a lot of bad foods, wasn't taking my medication. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I used to drink though. I was slam down those Red Bulls
Mm.
2 and 3 a day.
Wow.
So that's cold turkey that. So now since it's up to me now I know as far as what I need to put in my body, exercise, take my medication, and just move on from there. Because I've read that you have a stroke, you could have another one.
Mm.
My doctor said the same thing. Say, well, you can have another stroke if you don't do these things, put these things in place. So I'm kind of cautious now. So that's why I say I'm kind of thankful. Really, it's a blessing in disguise for me, because now I know what not to do
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. So it's a kind of blessing in disguise for me.
Did you know how long were you drinking Red Bulls for?
Oh man, about at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you know that maybe you shouldn't be drinking them or that you should avoid them or that they're not good for you? Did you think about that? Did you have any idea about that type of thing?
Yes and no, but I think the sugar had me so addicted.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. Sugar had me so addicted, and they taste good to me.
Sugar, caffeine. Yeah.
Yeah, sugar, caffeine, and I'm thinking it was giving me energy. It wasn't really. I just kind of got addicted to them. So I would slam one in the morning, one for lunch, and one in the afternoon, thinking, I'm getting this energy, and they taste good, but now, I don't even have a taste for it now, which I'm thankful of that.
They took sodas and rebranded them and called them energy drinks. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
such a shit move. Like it's such a terrible move that they did that. And now all you have to do is think about, oh, I'm lacking energy. Well, the only place to get energy is to go get it in a can of Red Bull. Let's crack one of those open and drink one of those. Oh, and if the energy hasn't really come back yet, well, just have another one. It's like
Right, right, right,
it's terrible. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing that I think has happened is they've found a way to step away from sodas because there started to be a lot of talk and a lot of research in the 90s about sodas and how they're not good for you because they have too much sugar, all that kind of stuff. And then we heard about diet sodas and all that type of thing to try and make sodas seem better and so on. And then this was the master move of rebranding sodas as something else so that they can be
right,
uh,
right,
are consumed and people don't associate them to the same troubles that soda has. But three Red Bulls a day for 5 years, let's say you did that on average, there were three a day for 5 years. That's a lot of caffeine. There's a lot of
right,
potential for heart problems, for brain problems, for arrhythmias in your heart. Um,
right,
and it's just not water. It's not water. It's not hydrating you. It's not offering you
right.
anything really that is nutritional at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's just a mind thing. I thought it was getting something out of it, but I really wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, just a mind thing, and I think that's the sugar that does that,
Hmm.
the caffeine that does that, that makes people want to buy them more. But yeah, I don't even have a taste. And even so, with tea, like sweet tea,
Hmm.
I tried one like after the stroke, and it just has a horrible taste to me now. So
Hmm.
I don't even want it now. Versus this without sugar in it. Yeah.
Before my stroke 13 years ago, if I went to somebody's house, my brother's house, or a family friend, or anybody who knew me, if I went to their house and they knew I was coming, they would have Coke in the fridge because I drank Coke.
Oh,
And
really?
not only that, they knew I had trained everybody that when I'm drinking Coke, I have to drink it in a glass that is full of ice. So when I pour it in there, um, it's the entire glass is ice, and then there's just a little bit of Coke, so that I can
Right.
then pour it in again, and it's ice cold. They knew. I had trained people to that extent where they knew that when I went to your house, you served me Coke in a glass full of ice, and not
Full of ice.
Pepsi, not Diet Coke, none of that stuff. I wouldn't drink it, and that was me. I was addicted to Coke. I used to drink maybe 2 or 3 cans a day as well. Um,
Wow.
not all the time, but especially at work. At work, we drank a lot. I drank a lot of it. And that was the same thing. I was just doing it because I wasn't even thinking about it. You
Right.
know, I was 37 and I had done it for as long as I was, from a teenager when I had my own pocket money and I could go buy my own sodas and all that kind of stuff, and mum and dad weren't in control. I've been doing it for 20 years before I realized that it's probably not the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Well, you don't no more, right?
No more, no more. After my stroke, I I didn't drink alcohol for 5 years solid, and I didn't drink a soda for more than that. And then maybe recently, maybe all up in the last 13 years, maybe I've had 1 can of soda combined. Like,
Wow.
and that's just because there was nothing else, or I don't know why. Just thought I'd have a try of it, and and it was terrible, and I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't make me feel well when I drink something that's very sweet. It impacts my left side real bad. It makes it more numb, more fatigued,
Right.
more sensitive, and it's not worth it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's not.
So yeah, that's the thing about just doing things, habits, having habits, and not being uh mindful of what you're doing and what you're putting in your body and what impact it's having. That's the crazy thing. Alcohol should be off the table as well from
Oh
now
yeah, I
on.
don't even. But I never drunk, so I
Uh-huh.
wasn't a drinker. So that was a. I guess it was a plus, but I don't drink at all. So.
That was a huge plus. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I
And
ain't
did
going
you
back
ever
there.
smoke or
Don't never smoke.
yeah. So then what's the future look like for you? I very rarely get to interview people who are so early on in their stroke journey. So what are you feeling? What are you thinking about what the future holds? How are you going to move forward?
Well, I'm hoping. I'm hoping if there's such thing as 100% recovery, I'm hoping that takes place, and get back to my old self, but just be more conscious, like I said, of my blood pressure, my cholesterol levels, exercising more, doing things like that, moving forward. So, and like I said, just educating people or spreading the word with individuals, for to know what not to do
Hmm.
health wise. So, and I know it'd probably be a journey. I don't know how long you've been since you had your stroke, but I couldn't even tell when I first seen your video. I couldn't even tell,
Hmm.
that you had a stroke. I couldn't even tell at all.
That's one of the difficulties with my situation is that when people see me, they don't know that I've had a stroke. They don't know that I've had brain surgery. They don't know that I had to learn how to walk again. They don't know what my left side feels like. Actually, I never want them to know. But um, it's a little bit invisible. My deficits are all invisible. So I have to manage some situations sometimes. And I have to just kindly just let people know that I'm not up for something, or I'm not capable of something, or this is not for me. And oftentimes it's just sort of saying, yeah, hey, I'm not interested in that. And if they persist with trying to convince me to do something that I'm not up to doing, then I'll have to, I had a stroke and I had brain surgery. So I'm a little bit sensitive to certain things and I can't do it. So I try
Right,
to avoid the conversation if I can, but if necessary, then I just inform people of the situation and why I might look okay, but different than you. I have some different issues that you can't see. So that usually works, and that usually gets people sort of settling down. Um,
Right.
the other thing uh, about my situation is that the damage that was done in my head was permanent after the brain surgery. So, in order to remove the faulty blood vessel that was in my head that burst, they actually physically had to damage my brain. They had to remove a blood vessel, and that negatively impacted my brain. Not only that, they had to go in from behind my ear, and they had to go in at 4 centimeters, which is around 2 inches, from my ear into the center of my brain, where near the cerebellum. So they've got to get past a lot of brain matter to get there,
Oh, wow.
and it's possible to interfere with a lot of the brain as you're going through. So when I woke up, the 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 deficits that I had were permanent, and they're not going to change. So my journey of recovery, I feel like I'm fully recovered, but I have the scars, the invisible scars, as well as the scar on the back of my head, the invisible scars of the brain surgery. And that's the only way I can describe it to people who have never had a stroke is like, some people have sports injury and they've damaged their knee or their ankle or their elbow or something, or their shoulder, and they are perfectly healthy and going about business, but they've always got a knee injury or they've always got the shoulder injury, and it
Right.
always lets them know that, hey, I'm still here and this thing hasn't really healed. So that's kind of me. That's the sort of situation that I'm in. And also, that does impact my mental health in a way where I wake up some mornings and I often feel like, uh, oh man, like this thing is still here. 13 years later, my leg is still feeling like this. I'm still getting out of bed and it's weird and all this kind of stuff, right? So I've still got to kind of bring myself around from feeling sorry for myself, from feeling bad about it, and trying to just come back to focusing on my blessings, to have some gratitude on all the things that went well.
Right.
And then the podcast actually helps me with this journey as well, because I get to talk about it once an episode with all my amazing guests, for 340 episodes now. So it's like I I'm not I haven't fully recovered, but I'm well and I'm healthy. I'm
Right.
appreciative and I'm going about life. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
When people ask me though, how's your health? I know they're being polite, so I don't have the whole conversation with them. I just say, I'm good. I'm actually doing well. Thank you.
So for you, the podcast is almost like therapy.
Indeed, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And I was in therapy. So for people who don't know about me, who are just finding the podcast and just learning about me, I was in therapy for probably about 10 years before my stroke. And talk therapy, it was me just chatting to a counselor every so often to download, to get things off my mind, to help me understand myself, my world, my situation, all that kind of thing. So I had a real good habit of talking and expressing and getting things off my chest and out of my head. And then after stroke, well, I just continued that because it was so useful and helpful. I continued that. And I still go to therapy, not as often, and I don't need it as often. But sometimes we have a bad run in family. Something goes wrong. Somebody becomes unwell, and as much as I support my wife and she supports me, sometimes I need support from a neutral member that's not part of the
Right.
family
Right.
that can guide me, advise me, or even ask, even say like, maybe it's you, Bill. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe you haven't worked out that this drama that is occurring is because of you. And
Right.
it's like, oh, okay, that's why I go. The talk therapy is amazing. The podcast supplements that for me. So when I interview people and they share their story like you, and I help you reach other people and create awareness, that's exactly why I started my podcast. I wanted to do that but I didn't want to do it alone. I wanted a team of people to do it with me. And
Right.
that's what you guys are. You're part of my team, and we express that and we make a difference because I've had podcasts where I've interviewed people about their stroke and then they've explained their symptoms. And I had a lady once who sent me a message to say that she researched the symptoms, right? She researched a pain in the neck, blah, 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 some kind of weird search. And it showed her a YouTube video of somebody who I interviewed who had the same symptoms. And that lady was experiencing they called it a vertebral artery dissection. So she had some damage inside her blood vessel, and that was causing a clot, and that was causing a stroke. Before she had the stroke, she found the podcast episode. She
Wow.
went to the hospital and told them, I am
Exactly.
having
Yeah.
a stroke. You guys need to check my neck immediately. They did, and they avoided the whole thing,
Wow.
you know?
Amazing. That's amazing.
So it's brilliant. This whole thing, it's brilliant. The journey for me, I can't see it ending. This whole recovery and talking about it and putting information out there, I don't think it's something that I'm going to stop doing anytime soon. Whenever I'm not doing it, I'm always thinking it's been a while. I should have had an episode out by now. Or I should have recorded something by now. So that's kind of my journey. And being a month in, I try to, I also coach stroke survivors. So I try to explain to them, like, to be patient. If you can develop patience, that is such an important skill because what that does is that takes your mind away from all the things you can't control and allows you to come back and just deal with the things you can control, like your food intake. Perfect example. That is, it doesn't cost you extra. You don't
Right.
have to go anywhere to do it. You just have to be mindful of what goes in your mouth. And if it's not
Absolutely.
healing you, it might be harming you. And that's kind of how you have to think about it. So if people can be patient during stroke recovery, I know I'm simplifying it, and it's not my intention to simplify it, but if people can be patient, then recovery happens better. And when somebody has had a stroke and they've had it a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I try to describe it as it's like you just walked into the coffee table and you just hit your toe. That's how early on in the recovery you are. Like you just did it. And now you're in, oh man, this thing has to stop hurting for a while. Then it has to stop throbbing. And then you have to check it and see if it's broken. And then you have to help it rehabilitate it. And then 3 weeks later, you're putting your shoe on and it's a bit tighter. And you're going, oh my God, that's the toe that I smashed on the coffee table a couple of weeks ago. So that's how I try to bring people into understanding what stroke is. It's definitely a journey. It's not a broken bone. You don't heal from stroke in 6 weeks and then you put your shoe on and you're in business. Your brain takes a lot longer to heal and it needs you to stop getting in the way of healing it because some people don't realize that by continuing to drink sodas, continuing to drink alcohol after a stroke, continuing to eat at McDonald's, for example, you're delaying the recovery of that brain and you're
Right.
extending the healing time that it's going to take and you're impacting it negatively. And you need to also get out of your own way from your brain's recovery and not be the person who's making the recovery worse.
That makes a lot of sense. But I don't think you should never stop. I think you need to continue, spreading the word and
Yeah,
educating people on what's going on because
it's my
it's not going.
intention.
I don't think strokes are going to stop.
Indeed, they're not.
Right, they're going to stop. So
I put out this weird thing a couple of months ago. I said it like for the first time. I think we're going to record 1,000 of these podcasts.
yeah,
And I'm at
you're doing
340, and uh, it's taken me from 2000 and about 15 to now. It's taken me 10 years to get to 340. So
really wow.
I've got a long way to go.
Right. So do people contact you every day, or I mean, how does that happen? For them contact
Almost,
you?
almost every day now. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
at the beginning, I was reaching out to people on social media and just saying, "Hey, I've had a stroke. I know you've had a stroke. You're talking about it on your social media. Would you mind sharing it on the podcast?" And they would come on and they would join me. And it was a lot of work to find people because I had to do the research and find them.
Right.
And then I created a contact page, the same one that you filled out. And I said,
Okay.
why don't I just start talking about inviting people onto the podcast during the show and tell them to go to my contact page, let them fill it out, and then they'll find it. So what's good about it is the website is now gaining what's the word? Google is sort of deciding that it's worth showing to a lot of people, and that's where I'm finding my new viewers and new listeners. People are doing a first Google search. My show comes up the first time, and bang, they're all over it. Okay, they oh my God, there's 340 episodes. Let me start listening. And then it's like, oh, he wants us to reach out and be on the podcast. Let me send him an email. And there's only one thing to qualify for my podcast that you need. Unfortunately, you only need to have had a stroke. And if you
Right.
and if you had a stroke, you qualify. And it's a terrible way to qualify for something, but that's the only prerequisite.
Well, I didn't think I thought you just had so many people waiting to get in. I didn't think, you responded so fast. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
think
we
I was going to be chosen.
and and I do. Sometimes there's 10, 12, 13 podcasts booked in because you have that booking calendar. I have a couple of slots. I have two slots on a Saturday, and sometimes I have two slots on a Friday. And and what I do is I allow people to just go and pick the one that suits them going forward about 6 weeks into my calendar. So my calendar has got bookings for the next 6 weeks. And
Nice.
and I'm always talking to somebody. And that is just that's how many there are. So there may not be 12 episodes booked, but there's probably about 8 or 9 booked. So it's cool, man. Like it's so good. And it's as you can see, it's very simple to do. Most
What
people
happened?
get most people will get the notifications in the email inbox that it's confirmed. Here's the link to the YouTube to the Zoom video, and I mean it's straightforward. I try and make it as easy as possible so that a stroke survivor who's challenged,
Right, right.
doesn't have to overthink things and worry about it too much.
Yeah,
I've had
absolutely.
people on the podcast who can't speak, Tony, like can't speak yet because they have aphasia still. So everyone is welcome. You don't have to sound and be perfect or anything like that. You're welcome at any time, and we'll work it out. We've got technology to work it out if we have to. So yeah, I love it, and I'm just so grateful that people like you just reach out and say, "Let's have a conversation." It's the only
Absolutely.
thing. It's the thing that I was missing. When I was going through it
Right,
at the beginning. It's like,
right.
man, why is there nothing for stroke and there's so much for cancer and heart and all this stuff? It's like we need something for stroke. That's the whole reason it
Yeah,
exists.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great way to spread the word, like I said. So I'm thankful that I did get chosen and kind of help spread the word as well. So,
Yeah,
because there's still a lot of people like friends of mine, they don't know. I mean, my church family knows. They know, the school where I work at, they know. But I got a big social media um viewing. They don't know, but I'm after this, I'm gonna, if you allow me
yeah,
to put this podcast on my social media page
yeah.
so
When
they
it's
can see
live,
it. Right.
when it's live for sure. Yeah, I'll share some images that you can use and the links and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can share that and let people know. So
Absolutely.
tell me about your faith and how what kind of a role that's played in this whole journey.
Well, I definitely believe in God. I believe God has kind of blessed me to get to this point. And, when the stroke first happened, I was saying, I was telling God, asking God, well, why me? Why I got to go through this? But now over time, a little time, I said, well, God probably doing this for me to spread the word, to make other people aware, so I could be a testimony to other people. and how I overcame this and what to do and what not to do. So I think, like I said, it's a blessing in disguise. Really, I really believe that a blessing in disguise. So I really believe God. I know He works everything out on His own time, and I just truly believe that He has something else for me to do that maybe I didn't want to do. I was going a different way, so this is the path that I need to go now in my
Mm-hmm.
life. So I think I say it's a blessing, definitely a blessing in disguise for me to experience this and to be a survivor as well, because it could have been the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause like I said, I know some people who had strokes and they passed away. So I'm here for a reason. You're here for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and we connected for a reason. So I think it all was gonna work out. So I definitely believe God. God has a hand in all of this. I truly believe that. So
Mm-hmm.
so just for me to do the right thing from this point on.
And were you a regular at church on a Sunday? Is that something that you did regularly?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm a deacon at my church.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a deacon. So yeah, I'm a faithful member, and I haven't been since the stroke because
Mm-hmm.
it's a little tough for me to get up, can't drive, and stuff like that. So it's a little tough for me to. And I read for my pastor. I was one of the one that read for my pastor. So I haven't done that in a while, but I'm gonna try to gradually get back into that since my strength is a little better. Because after the stroke, I got so tired doing little or nothing. So now that my strength is up a little bit, I'm gonna kind of gradually go back into my role and attend a little bit more because I enjoy going to church. I really do enjoy going to church and being around the members.
Mm.
So I just believe, like I said, this is the way God has opened my eyes on certain things and allowed me to be a testimony to somebody else who may be going through and maybe knowing not what to do. So I'm always going to say it's a blessing in disguise.
Mm. Oh, man, that'll be a good day, the first day you get back to church, eh?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, real good. Something I can celebrate within myself. Yes.
Mm. And with work, how are you talking to your employer about your time off and then how you're going to transition back? Is that discussion like?
Well, I had that discussion last week, and from my primary doctor, because he said he's gonna try to allow me to go back and just gradually, and I do have a good, I ain't gonna say a coworker, but he's like my sidekick
Mm-hmm.
that has been covering for me since I've been going. That's really been doing a good job, and I just want to give a shout out to him. His name is Wes Pilkington, so he's been doing a great job. So I'm gonna try to get back next month and just gradually go in there to see how things go. And physically, if I'm able to continue to do the same thing that I've been doing, and I'm just gonna see how that goes. And they give me the time. And they told me to come back, when I'm able. So that's a blessing too, because they could have either fired me
Mm.
because I haven't been there, but they give me the time to recover, and they understand. So I appreciate the school as well and the staff for allowing me to take my time to come back.
Yeah. And is your medical insurance part of your employment at the school?
Yes, yes, so that's been helping out. Be able to incur some of the costs. And it hasn't been 100% out of my pocket, so the insurance been covering a lot of it, and still is. So, and it was exactly thinking about, after all my vacation time and everything, if that would have worn out, then I had short-term disability that would have kicked in, but that would only cover like 80% of my pay. So I mean, so far so good. I
Yeah.
still been able to pay my bills and keep everything. Because my wife, she doesn't work, so I still able to keep all the lights on, food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a blessing as well.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Like stroke really decreases your ability to be productive and get back to
Right.
work and do the things that you need to do for your family, to cover your obligations, to meet your payments for whatever you're doing. Like it's just such a difficult thing. Like it just takes a space in all these places, and it makes it really difficult for people to manage that. And I know that then that people also at the worst time, they get medical bills. Then they have to deal with medical bills, but they're dealing with them at the same time that they can't work, and it's like it's a catch-22. You can't go one way, you can't go the other. It's really difficult. Um,
Right.
so it sounds like everything's kind of working out really well for you right now. Things are sort of in a really good place, and you've got everything you need to move forward and continue healing.
Right. I mean, I'm not up under any type of pressure as far as going back, returning back to work. So that's a good thing.
Mm,
And they just told me, hey, whenever you're ready to come back, come back. And everything will still be here waiting for you. So they
mm,
want me to come back, you know, strong and I guess not 100%, but being able to kind of perform some of the duties like I was before the stroke. So they haven't pressured me at all. So that's one thing that I appreciate the school for being that understanding and praying for me as well.
mm.
So yeah, so it's just good. I'm in a good place right now.
And the kids, are they still living with you guys?
I'm sorry.
The kids, are they still living with you?
Oh yes, I got my son who's 15 and I have a grandson that's 13 that's living with me. Yeah, the one they kind of help out as well.
Uh-huh.
Boys gonna be boys. They still kind of get on my nerve a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of explain to them,
Teenagers.
right, teenager, right? Yeah, I don't need all the stress and all the fighting and wrestling in the house. So they're teenagers, so they're gonna do that. But yeah, they've been a great help as well.
So your grandson is 13 and your son is 15.
Right, my youngest son is 15 years.
Yeah. So your grandson is wrestling with his uncle
Exactly, exactly.
and the misbehaving. Your son, as an uncle, should be more responsible.
He should be right. He's right in with the folly. Yeah, he's right there with it. So it's just hard to kind of keep them two. They're so competitive. Yeah, both of them play basketball, so they're so competitive amongst each other. So there's always something going on in the house,
Yeah.
and I can hear all the noise downstairs that's going on upstairs. Yeah, yeah.
If I
So
was
they
a
so
15-year-old uncle of a 13-year-old, I'd be pulling rank on them all the
hey,
time.
hey, oh, and he does. The 15-year-old, he does. He lets them know, yeah, who's the oldest. Yeah. But the 13-year-old, he's a little tougher too. So he's tough. He's a tough kid. So yeah,
Yeah.
he don't try to let him get away with the stuff. But yeah, it's kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. My kids were the first time were 11 and 15 when I had the first stroke. And then all through the whole second and third bleed and brain surgery and learning how to walk in, they were still teenagers the whole time. And man, it was hard because when I was really unwell and had fatigue and needed calm and quiet because noise made my brain hurt and fighting made me exhausted and all that kind of stuff. They just wouldn't. I
Wouldn't
just couldn't.
stop.
I couldn't get them to calm down. And it's like,
Right.
I know you're teenagers. I know you're just being teenagers, but you really need to stop doing what you're doing because I can't cope. I'm at my wit's end. And
Oh, I understand. I get it.
yeah,
It's
and they
funny with them
shouldn't.
teenagers. Yeah.
You have to give them a little bit of grace because they are going through that phase in their life and they're just doing what every teenager would do, but it's
Absolutely.
still hard, really hard.
Yeah. It is hard. So that part they don't understand because they just think, oh, that's just dad. We're
Yeah,
gonna do what we do. Yeah. So they don't understand that part. And I hate to raise my voice to get my point across because it wears me out,
yeah,
at the same time. So I just tell them, say, man, y'all got to understand that noise is driving me crazy,
yeah,
you know. But they teenagers, so I expect that. So like you said, I have to have a little grace with them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that part where when you don't look like you've had a stroke, trying to convince a teenager that when you've actually had is really serious and it's really difficult to deal with, it's even harder. I mean, it's impossible. You look fine and you're just grumpy. You're just yelling like
Right,
you've
right,
always yelled,
right,
like
right,
whatever.
right. Yeah, yeah. I'm just the bad guy. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and my wife, she just don't, she don't hear what I hear. 'Cause it seems like it's like the noise is even louder versus before the stroke. So
Yes.
just the little things they do is just I get annoyed by it. But they don't realize what they're doing, but they're just being boys. So
Yeah.
I kind of cope with it at the same time.
It's interesting that you said the noises are louder. They're more irritating, aren't they? They're the same noises, but
Absolutely.
they're more irritating.
It's a little more irritating. Yeah, any little thing kind of irritates me now, as far as noise wise. So that's why I don't try to raise my voice as much, because that even irritates me. It's kind of exhausting to even do that. So I kind of have to say, okay, well, let me kind of block it out some kind of way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
This is the part where expanding ourselves, like us learning and growing and doing things differently is really important because you can't go at the teenagers the way that you used to. That's what I stopped doing is I stopped going at them the way I used to as well so that helped improve the situation for me a little bit. I
right,
wasn't irritating myself further than they had already
right,
irritated me. And then
right,
I was trying to develop new ways to communicate, talking,
right,
explaining over and over, to try and get them to shift their behavior without me doing it the old way, because the old way didn't work anyway, and it wasn't
right,
working now.
right,
And then
exactly,
it's like, okay, we need a new way. What is that? Is there one?
right. And me, growing up with my father, my dad is, ex-military guy, so he was
Uh-huh.
kind of zero, zero nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of use that approach because that's how I grew up. But I don't, I give up with that one. So
Yeah.
it's just more so trying to do a lot more explaining to them versus the old school. I'm old school anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah. So that with the new kids today, that don't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. But I try to be a little bit more patient with them so I can kind of have a better understanding within myself, and won't wear myself out by doing all that. So yeah, I have to
Yeah.
be a little bit more patient with them.
You have to step
So it
up.
is a little challenging.
Even though you're the one that's going through recovery, you have to step up as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Tell me about what do you think has been the hardest thing about stroke for you so far, do you think?
Well, I think trying to get back to the norm and like I said, I was always kind of busy and active. So now I see myself as not being that now. So that's kind of a little difficult challenge for me because I was always the one that's doing things and moving stuff and getting things done. So now I'm at a limitation now because any little thing, well, it was a little worse in the beginning. I just get so tired so easy. I don't know, just trying to overthink things or whatever it is, but just being exhausted a lot more. That's a little more what I have to get used to. And I try to do things, but I just wear myself out. Even from taking a shower, a simple shower, that I get exhausted from doing that. Just really exhausted taking a shower, and I have to come out the shower and kind of stretch across the bed a little bit to kind of recuperate from that. So that's been a little challenge. So I guess over time, I'm hoping, I'm praying over time that'll get better, and it has gotten better. So I'm just thinking that that'll get better over time.
It will. Yeah, it'll continue to improve. Um, what has stroke taught you? What have been the lessons that you've taken out of this at the moment?
Oh, well, like I said, the main thing is health. My diet, my blood pressure, what I eat. Oh, that has taught me that because I wasn't doing it, Bill. I'm serious. I mean, I would eat junk food and and like I said, I had high blood pressure. I knew I had high blood pressure and I was on medication, but I never took it. I never took it because it made me a little nauseous at the time.
Mhm.
It made me sick a little bit, so I wouldn't take it. But my pressure was always 190 over 90 something, always. You know, so now it's made me more aware of my blood pressure, and I check it every day, at least 2 or 3 times a day, to make sure it's normal. I make sure I take my medication. I make sure I'm eating the right stuff, putting the right stuff in my mouth, and drinking the right things. I drink more water than I think I have ever done in my life now. You know, so those things have kind of taught me some things. And there's certain foods that I used to eat, I just don't want them no more. Which
Mm.
like I said, I think that's a blessing. So that's what it has taught me, and just being aware of my body. Just overall being aware of my body and recognize certain things that it's doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of taught me what to recognize certain things within myself.
Yeah, that's good. since you joined us specifically to spread awareness and uh, to reach other people, what is something that you'd like to let people know about? Like, what kind of, like, is there some wisdom that has downloaded from somewhere that you'd like to pass on, let people know about this whole situation?
Well, absolutely. I think everyone should consider their diet. I think that's the major thing with any health condition is your diet and what are you eating, what are you drinking, exercise. I think that's important. And this listen to your body. Just listen to it. Now, even though at the time I was having a stroke, I don't know, I wasn't aware of any of the symptoms. But prior to that, I knew was some things that I should have done that I wasn't doing. So now that has heightened my awareness now on what to do and what not to do. So I think I would spread that message across the board as far as just listen to your body and just make sure you're taking care of your body because we only got one life. We only have one life and we only got one body and we need to take care of it, you know. And if we even go by with this, spiritually, this body is the temple
Mm,
and we need to make sure we're taking care of the temple. So that's important. That what I would spread to anyone that's listening.
yeah,
Yes.
beautiful. Tony, I really appreciate you reaching out so early on in
Thank
your
you.
recovery and making it about other people. Um, I hope this interview and the podcast continues to help you. Thank you so much for joining me.
And thank you. And I appreciate what you're doing and continue to do it. I support you any way that you need me to help you.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode with Tony Barfield. From his experience 1 month after ischemic stroke to his ongoing recovery journey, Tony's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. If today's conversation resonated with you, please consider leaving a comment, liking, and subscribing, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform. A 5-star rating or a review helps others discover this community of support. Remember to check out my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened, available on Amazon or at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. And if you'd like to support the podcast directly, please visit patreon.com/recoveryafterstroke. Your support helps cover the ongoing costs of recording, hosting, editing, and much more, ensuring that we can keep sharing these valuable stories. Thank you for being here and listening and making this podcast a part of your recovery journey. I'll see you in the next episode.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamis. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.